stands to further confirm how spendthrift he is. He is holding his birthday celebration without compassion for people dying of hunger in Mashingo, in Manicaland, in Matabeleland, in all Mashonaland provinces, and throughout the country. Without pity or care for both domestic and wild animals dying throughout the country of drought. The incidence of drought was predicted some years ago, but ZANU-PF party and government remained complacent and unmoved. Imprudently, they started looking for maize imports from Zambia in February 2016, after our nationals had died from hunger. My fellow citizens, are we going to vote back to power such an irresponsible and destructive political party? Are we? Vote ZOOPP in 2018, a philanthropic people's party and president. We will vigorously oppose ZANU-PF callousness, bad governance, lack of transparency and accountability to citizens. We will oppose to make regime change a reality and good governance our yardstick for a people-driven democracy. From a broad perspective, international travels by the president neither revived the economy nor relieved the suffering majority poor from mounting and biting economic hardships. The same applies to his expensive birthday celebration bashes held for decades. Majority citizens have suffered and continue to suffer beyond endurance under ZANU-PF party. With such immense suffering of citizens coupled with widespread starvation and consequently death, what justification is there for spending $50 million on travels within 5 months? ZOOPP urges every citizen of Zimbabwe to be an architect in the architecture of the very late regime change in our country. Citizens must be the change. ZOOPP is a progressive party. Yes, in unity of purpose and the national interest, we can bring change to Zimbabwe. The Oxford Dictionary says the word regime means a method of government or prevailing system of things. The method of government and prevailing governance systems by ZANU-PF are good reason for regime change in Zimbabwe. Regime change is the only reasonable answer and solution to political and socio-economic problems besetting and weighing heavily on us for many decades. Vote ZOOPP in 2018 for regime change and progress. According to Governance Index, studies done in year 2000 and year 2012, Zimbabwe is in the group of badly governed African countries. Those who did the studies defined good governance as, open quote, the provision of political, social, and economic public goods and services that a citizen has the right to expect from his or her state, and that this state has the responsibility to deliver to citizens, close quote. In 2015, the rating agencies placed the Zimbabwe economy in the group of countries with junk status economies, meaning we cannot easily borrow. In other words, Zimbabwe has been blacklisted for credit. Bad governance and economic destruction in Zimbabwe justify the need for regime change. So what is the way forward? Way forward is change government in 2018. If we don't, We only have ourselves to blame for all the consequences of bad governance, economic destruction and corruption. Vote ZOOPP in 2018 for real change. Our national debt is close to 8 billion United States dollars. Our budget and trade deficits continue to grow against the background that the country has been broke for years and therefore a non-functional economy. ZANU-PF party has been in power from the year of our independence in 1980 to date. Therefore, who is to blame for the unforgettable immense suffering of poor citizens and destruction of good governance systems? The answer is ZANU-PF party government. Who is to blame for the inclusion of Zimbabwe in the group of badly governed African countries? The answer is the ZANU-PF party. Who is to blame for earning our country and economy the junk status or blacklisting? The answer is the ZANU-PF party. Who is to blame for destroying agriculture, the mainstay of our economy? The answer is the ZANU-PF party. Who is to blame for people dying of hunger throughout the country? The answer is the ZANU-PF government. Who is to blame for closure of businesses across the board? The answer is the ZANU-PF party. Who is to blame for the youth leaving the country in masses? The answer is the ZANU-PF party. Who turns the youth against the fellow citizens? The answer is the ZANU-PF party. Who made Zimbabwe broke and a junk? The answer is the ZANU-PF party. Who uses and abuses state resources for political gains? The answer is the ZANU-PF party. Who is to blame for failing to service our national debt with IMF and the World Bank? The answer is the ZANU-PF party government. Therefore, we made a big mistake in 1980 by voting ZANU-PF party to power. Seeing that we made such an electoral mistake, let us not repeat the same mistake in the 2018 vote. Vote ZOOPP for people-driven democracy, productive economic independence, non-selective development, non-selective empowerment, non-tribal, non-racial, and non-sexist society. Political independence is not economic independence and freedom. Citizens without a people-driven democracy, democratic power, and freedom to vote fearlessly are neither politically nor economically independent. Are we politically and economically independent under ZANU-PF party and government rule? If the answer is no, we are not, then let us go to the 2018 poll with one heart, one goal, nemoyo mumwechete, as a conjoined electorate with one aim to defeat ZANU-PF party and make our wish for change of government a dream come true. Vote ZOOPP, your party, our party, my party, and a new Zimbabwe. Celebrations for 35 years of independence under prolonged ZANU-PF party bad governance and a very harsh economic climate was meaningless to majority citizens wallowing in countrywide mounting untold poverty, hunger, joblessness, lack of basic survival needs and means, and increasing sprouting governance failure. If citizens had foreseen bad governance and suffering to be delivered by ZANU-PF party, no one would have voted for it in 1980 and after. Now, that we all have seen over the years the true colors of ZANU-PF party, don't repeat the same mistake in 2018 poll. Vote ZOOPP for our right to true democracy, power, people's victory, and prosperity. Always remember, A leopard will never change its spots. ZANU-PF party will never change from bad governance to modern ways of governance. They are always in the dead past and unrepentant. Gross governance incompetence, violence, mounting corruption, transient gibberish economic policies, short memory and disrespect for human rights are part and parcel of ZANU-PF party DNA. You are all welcome to join our revolution for a fight for change of government, economic emancipation, genuine independence, unity, fair treatment of citizens, and equity in the distribution of resources. We envisage that behind good governance there will be economic boom, a resilient and inclusive economy, less migration of citizens to the diaspora, minimal incidents of xenophobia and displacement. In Zimbabwe, independence lost essence decades ago and became a monster destroying citizens young and old. It is a gloom and doom situation awaiting fixing by a new government from 2018 on. Where is the independence if citizens celebrate it in mounting poverty, as political and economic refugees in the diaspora, and as jobless, hungry people? Normally, citizens don't run away from good life at home, but run away from domestic life-threatening situations. ZOOPP opposes to remove ZANU-PF party from the helm, construct good governance, and bring sustainable good life for all citizens. Immature and half-baked politicians in ZANU-PF party and government perceive constructive criticism wrongly. It is our national duty and a right as citizens and as a political party to fight for the oppressed majority poor being shuffled around and displaced by ZANU-PF party government. Many citizens had their homes bulldozed down by ZANU-PF government in an independent Zimbabwe because of its inconsistent, weightless, ill-thought, destructive policies, more whimsical than rational. ZOOPP and citizens will strongly oppose ZANU-PF party government to end 37 years of uncomfortable and painful rule. We will oppose them to replace them for the benefit of citizens. We will oppose them to make them accountable to the entire citizenry and to make Zimbabwe the land of equal opportunities for all who call it home and a source of good living. Citizens must oppose ZANU-PF party and agree to support ZOOPP if change for the better were to be realized. ZOOPP is the element of that change. Think about it. Vote ZOOPP in 2018 poll. Nothing will stop the will of citizens questing for governance change, equity in distribution of resources, high standards of performance of the executive, and higher levels of accountability by those at the helm. Because no matter how dark the night is, it will not stop the sun from rising. The will of citizens will shine and prevail over bad governance. Xenophobia started in Zimbabwe in the year 2000 when the ZANU-PF party-led government started implementing land reform program. We agree. Land reform was and is the right thing to do. But the right thing done in a wrong way makes the right thing wrong. Our land reform lost direction and became wrong when it was changed from being a national empowerment and development program to a ZANU-PF political party manifesto. It then turned violent, chaotic, unfair and xenophobic. It displaced black and white farmers who had made Zimbabwe the SADC breadbasket. More than 4,000 white commercial farmers, then employing hundreds of thousands of farm workers, had their properties looted in a manner very much xenophobic, racephobic, and tribephobic. The ZANU-PF party and government battle cry during land acquisition was Zimbabwe for Zimbabweans. As ZOOPP, we dissociate ourselves from the dangerous ZANU-PF battle cry. To us, Zimbabwe is for all who live in it. Nurture it, develop it, invest in it, and respect the laws of our country. Our liberation wars were not about who should be Zimbabwean and who should not. It was about discriminatory government systems, then built on racial grounds, unacceptable to the black majority. Zimbabwe for Zimbabwean is not why we voted the ZANU-PF party into power in 1980. It was majority rule premised on one man, one vote. We are in a global village and government policies must be in line with global politics and policies. Our policies must not be divergent to democratic principles and people's wishes. Zimbabwe for Zimbabweans is diverse to economic development and our rights.